Here's my question in light of what you said about 100 Thieves, because I get what you mean. Like this last week, they just went to like everything that used to work for them, basically. And it did work again. Like it was absolutely paint by numbers and they knew exactly what they were doing, how to pilot that comp. The question I would have is this. Obviously, the eternal dilemma whenever you're in LCS is, do I want to win these next two BO1s or do I want to get better fundamentally at League of Legends? The only problem I would have with that basically is, look, it's great to get the wins and keep your position and go in the playoffs and actually beat people and get confidence. But at some point in time, 100 Thieves has to address some of these major issues they have as a team, right? Like that lineup's been together ages now, mate, and they still have so many problems in the late and mid game.
Yeah, one thing that was really common back when I was in G2 was that we would always say, with this draft, we can beat HK or Fnatic. And then someone would say, but we can't beat SKT. And someone was like, yeah, we can. So why are we playing it? You know, it isn't actually a good draft. It's a draft we can win with. And at some point, we started figuring out that we care more about winning worlds, even though back then it was big copium, but it was our dreams back, right? So we started drafting to beat SKT. That was the team that beat us last at MSI. And I thought that was a good way of thinking about it, that drafting Ornn, Orianna, Aphelios, excuse me, will win you LCS. One of these did it before, and they'll do it again, and they'll keep doing it this week against Team Liquid, you saw. But I don't think that's a good draft, meta. I don't think Aphelios, Orianna... Yeah, I don't think Aphelios, Orianna, Ornn should be able to win a game against GP. They shouldn't be able to, right? It should be too hard to win against them. But they did, because NA is not good enough to punish those China champions. Now, you can say what you want about maybe the meta is playing slow, and that is the best way to play, but I don't think so right now. And it is true that Reaper always said it's better to just play what you're good at than try to be someone you're not for wins. And it is true, there's a fine balance between playing for wins and playing for improvement.
Yes.
But you're in summer split at this point. You need wins to go to playoffs and to go have first and second seed. And yeah, it's a hard balance to find. But Reaper always said, in NA, just by skilling, you will win. And it is true. Traditionally, the teams that scale win more games. It's an easy way to play.
Won a lot of. If people don't know, Reaper's regular split record is very impressive in LCS.
Yeah, it is very good.
On C9, he was getting them like top 4 every single time, no matter what.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, Reaper is a very simple person, right? Like, he sees things like that, and he's like, yeah, one of Thieves, strength, Aphelios, Orianna, Ornn, free win. But playing Jace top and, I don't know, something funny with like LeBlanc is not our strength, right? So he just picks them their strengths, and he wants them to play that kind of style. He wants them to play around their strengths, and that's how he coaches that team. And I think that's something that works for them. I can't blame one of Thieves for playing their way, because they're winning games like that. They won LCS for the first time in their org's history by playing that way, by playing scaling and playing defensive and waiting for their opponents, us, last summer, making mistakes. And we did. We got caught in late game, lost Elder, lost Baron, and they won.
Well, so, it puts the burden of execution on your opponent, right? Yes. And like that works in NA, but we've also seen how these strategies then go to Worlds and then get absolutely blown the fuck up by.
Do you remember that the one time that one team played Sona against the Chinese team? Who was that AC that played Draven and they won the game in like 15 minutes? Like actually 15 minutes, the whole game was over. I think it was T1 against some Chinese team. The IG? I don't remember, but that's a good example of like Sona or something might work in NA or whatever. T1 was IG, someone says in the chat. Yeah, it was IG. Jackie Love played Draven, I think. And they just ended the whole game in like 60 minutes. And I was like, yeah, this was NA, Sona, free win. So it's always a thing. Would you play this kind of scaling comp against the best team in the world? No, probably not. Well, it's against C9 or one of Thieves, so it's fine.
It's the same thing with like the TSM 06 at Worlds. It's like win with Bjergsen Zillion, go to Worlds, get absolutely destroyed by Lucian mid, and win 0 games in groups.
Yeah, I mean, for example, it's hard because in NA, I remember that summer split, it was Niski's iteration, right? And we played Lucian against Zillion, and we were losing the game. We couldn't win mid hard enough. It was close. You almost got a solo kill, but not quite, and we lost the game. Then you go to Worlds, and you're losing lane to Set mid, right? A much weaker lane than Lucian. But I can't really blame Bjergsen for playing Zillion in NA when he wins. And when he wins the games, he won Summer Split playing that way. So it's hard to blame him for doing it, right?
No.
He's fucking winning. But then you go to Worlds and you get reality checked. It feels really bad, especially for fans to watch it, right? So at what point do you play for Worlds instead of playing for LCS and winning LCS.
Yeah.
Because it should be the same thing.
Well, I think it's a really hard call to make, especially when there's so much pressure on teams to make the World Championship. Like, are we really going to expect Team Liquid to radically change their play style when they can catch throws from other teams? When Team Liquid not going to Worlds this year would be the biggest financial disaster in LCS history. So, when the stakes are so high, you're just not willing to take a lot of risks.
Yeah, watching the game right now, and yeah, he's down 30 CS to set. Without context, obviously, I didn't actually watch the whole game for why it's happening, but he's down a lot of CS, whereas, see here, TSM versus 9 20 summer. See if we can find this game. Wait, please. Not this game. 2. Nope. 3 maybe. I think it was game 4 actually, I remember now. Yes, it's game 4, and he is down 4 CS to Niski Solution.
Yeah.
So how do you really blame someone like that?
Of course not.
It's hard to find that kind of balance. But what were you saying before? I was kind of like on my own mind trip down the wormhole.
The memory, walking down memory lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's hard because the burden of execution is so much higher. So when you have, whether it's explicitly stated by the team's coaches and management or not, the players know that what the expectation of that team is, and I think it's hard when you're Team Liquid or 100 Thieves and you're coming in. And 100 Thieves made finals back to back, right? Like they've shown that they can peak at the right time. They won the title. They got to the finals again. So do you really want to upset the balance and maybe fuck up getting to Worlds when you're pretty confident you can make it to Worlds just by doing what's worked in the past? And if nobody's good enough to execute on you, then why change anything? You accomplish your goal that your management sets out of getting to Worlds. You maybe don't do super well at Worlds because you're not built for that kind of competition, but it doesn't fucking matter in the end. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
I mean, it actually doesn't matter. Like, any teams would be completely okay with just making Worlds, I think, from my business point of view. Yeah. Like, making Worlds in NA this year is huge. It doesn't matter if you win or not. Like, it's all good enough. But a team like Team Liquid, like, I even remember like in spring split playoffs when they were struggling a little bit, there was a lot of rumors going around that if they didn't win the split, they'll make changes because their roster is built to win, not built to like go second or third place and make Worlds as third seed and losing groups. Not the purpose of the comp. Their team, right? They're like a super team, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Pick players from wherever they wanted. Got Bjergsen back. Got people. Stack team. Everyone wanted to be on Team Liquid. I was kind of like sitting there like, oh, please, Team Liquid, take me, But yeah, I think that I was unsurprised nothing happened with TL. But I also respect them staying together through a hard split because I think making changes from spring to summer is always kind of sketchy. It's not always going to work out for you. It's too late to make changes, I think, a lot of the time. But I think that it's obvious if Liquid doesn't do well at Worlds or go to Worlds at all, it's going to be a huge, they're going to kick everyone or something. They're going to revamp the whole roster, right? So
it's definitely not going to be good for them.
The problem they have as a squad, if you think about it, is the other issue with super teams is also why super teams often fail. It's because it's really hard to kick people. Like after one split, which player are you kicking? Because remember, they could just get really good in the next split. They might even go to like a rival team and just beat your ass. Like you're going to look like a fool at that point. So if you buy a roster for the money they've bought, you're going to at least have it the whole year. You're just going to fucking run it and just see how it goes. And if it fails, it fails. Okay, that happened. Yeah. By the way, two things. One thing I would say is I checked it. It was actually, you were right. It was against IG where T1 had Teddy play the Sona Tarek bot lane.
Yeah.
It was at MSI 2019, if people want to look it up. It's in the group stage, like the first time they play, I think. And the other one is what you were saying earlier, though. That's actually the tough part, though, because I know, at least from esports history, even in games where NA wasn't the best region, so most big esports games, there actually is a way bigger financial incentive to win anything that's viewed as like the NA championship, because then any domestic sponsor, you can say to them, like, we're the champions of the country. Yep. So even if in like Counter-Strike, that didn't used to be a big deal, like back in CS 1.6, Alex Garfield used to tell the Evil Geniuses players, like, look, you just win like the NA qualifiers so I can and say you're the best in NA, and that's all the sponsor cares about. Like that, essentially, if you had to weigh it up, look, as fans, we'd rather someone tries to make semis at Worlds and win LCS. But actually, business-wise, it's probably, if you had to choose, make round of 8 or just go out on groups and win LCS, it might financially be better to win LCS, as fucked up as that sounds. The only problem I have is I don't think that should apply. Maybe for TL, that has a logic. It shouldn't apply to 100 Thieves. So 1, you've already won LCS. So like it's some quest you've never completed. And 2, you've already been to Worlds with this exact 5-man lineup. So who the fuck wants to go again and get grouped? You've got to go this time to do something in the playoffs. That's the only reason to keep the lineup together, aside from fucking some naive dream Pappy Smith has that it's going to be the fucking next dynasty or whatever. Spoiler, it isn't. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We'll see if they make finals again, Thorin. Like,
I actually don't know if that's true. Like the whole winning NA is better than going to Worlds semifinals. It might be, because I don't know if sponsors like AT&T, for in our case, an American-only company, I think, would care if we go to semifinals in Korea.
I would.
I have no idea. I'm just speaking out of my ass here, right? So, but I wouldn't imagine they care a lot about it. But winning LCS, they probably like, we're on camera, getting a lot of pictures, and AT&T, let's go boys,
It might be in some stadium like MSG, like all the crowd. Right? They love that shit. Yeah, they eat that up, of course.
Maybe things like Red Bull or BMW would like it if we won. I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Here's what they really like, by the way, Thorin. They love to send some random ass executive to the event in NA, and that executive just like shakes the player's hand, shakes Jack's hand. Then they're like, "Oh, look, we're in Madison Square Garden. All the people are cheering. Wow, look at our investment." And then they just take the plane home or take the subway home.
This Bruno fucker into the crowd for one big hug. Like, oh, let's all get pizza together, yay! Like fucking some shit hockey.
That's really how it works. Which is why it's important that NA teams are going to really care about going to Worlds in NA. It's not because it's in NA. It's not because it's going to get the highest viewership. By the way, guys, Worlds in NA doesn't get the highest viewership because it's in a fucking terrible time zone for Asia and Europe, which are much bigger regions. Like mostly it's a terrible time zone for Asia, which is the biggest viewership region. But it is absolutely incredible for NA sponsors to just show up, be put in a luxury box in, a stadium. They're going to go to San Francisco and be in the Oracle Arena in a luxury box, and Riot and the teams are going to be like, "Here's your caviar, sir." And they're going to be like, "Wow, look at our investment. There are 15,000 people cheering for the esports." And then they'll go home happy. And that's it. And that's what matters.
Do you think that there's a correlation between like Worlds mattering less for business perspectives, between like the fact that the salaries of players are so high that most teams probably are paid more in salaries than Worlds prize money?
Oh, they do, for sure. I think Bjergsen makes more in salary than you even win if the team for first place at Worlds.
I don't even know. What is the salary? What is the World's price money?
The World's like just over 2 million, and I think you get like a little bit gets added in from the skins or something. It's about 2 million for like 2.4.
The skins actually make a lot of money, from what I've heard.
They get like $1 million.
The word in the street is that the skins make a lot of money, even these days, for the teams that have nice skins. Skins like IG Kaiser, I'm sure they make fat bank off that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure that some teams pay more salary than World's prize money for first place, right? So.
Oh, sure.
I wonder if that has anything to do with it, but I don't know. I guess.
I mean, the prize money.
League was never really a prize money game.
Yeah, it was. I wonder if it should be.
No. I think it's better to. I mean, it's better for the players not to have it be a prize money game.
It's a good thing.
No, it's the problem, Monte. There's pros and cons. Yeah, go. Give us your take. Why don't you like it, Zven?
I mean, I like that it's sustainable and it's not just the best team that makes a lot of money. But I also don't like that we have this league format only, where we have 2 tournaments a year and it's only 4 teams in total. 1 at MSI and 3 at Worlds. 4, I guess, if you're Korea or China. So you never get to see like the pissers play against each other, right? You never get to see the low tier teams play against each other. So
you never get to see like fucking Astralis play against TSM now and see like would it be weird?
It could be fun to have like an open qualifier once in a while where maybe fucking Immortals makes a miracle run and they make it to fucking MSI and against some good teams, and you're like, oh, that would be fucking hype, right? But at the same time, if the league format is more stable and better for business, I get it. It's hard to say. I'm not a businessman. I know shit about it. So.
Here's the thing, Zven. They thought it would be better for business. That's the whole premise was if we play more games and teams have a guaranteed number of games, it's easier to sell sponsors because those sponsors are guaranteed like a certain number of games. Like you're not going to be eliminated immediately. And sponsors do weaponize that against you, where they're like, even if you're really good, they'll be like, well, I just don't know if you're going to make playoffs. And if playoffs are the majority of the games or whatever, then they can argue for low value. So there is some truth to that. The problem is that it sounds good until the fans get bored, and then then there's no viewership, or the viewership declines like it has with LCS. And then you're in a bind where you're guaranteeing a bunch of games, but those games have low viewership because of the format you created. So then it just spirals down, right? So the logic was that's how traditional sports work in America. So let's do that. But the reality was maybe it did in some ways stabilize things for teams in the first couple of years. But once the viewership cycle starts to go down, it becomes really hard to get it back up, and then it becomes even harder to sell sponsors. So I think it's kind of what we're seeing right now.
I'm generally not a fan, though, and here's the reason why. Just because I'm an extreme human being. I hate the idea that the majority of the money is already being paid out to the players before they even play the fucking game at Worlds. Like, they've already had the majority of the money in the ecosystem. So before we play the World Championship, let's make sure everyone's paid and taken care of. Now let's just have a fun tournament and see who's the best in the world. I want all the money to be on that bloody World Championship. I want the team that comes last place to not just be crying, to be fucking broke. I want you bankrupt on the street, you homeless piece of shit. Learn to play some League of Legends. I want Faker to say, fuck T1, I have $50 million now, mate. I won Worlds 3 times. I was in the finals. And I have my salary, you cocksucker. Meanwhile, instead, like, the people like Bjergsen just get paid like X million to be like, I'm just average as fuck now. Like, fuck that noise. Play for your money.
My bad. Sorry for breathing.
It's all right, don't worry. It's all right.
It's funny because...
All I'm saying is don't ever come after Thorin's money. Listen, there's all funny games on League of Legends, but you come after a fucking guy for the Northeast's money. The fucking claws come out, Sven.
Because I remember back in the good old days, of 15, 16, the prize money for LCS was like 50k euros, yes. I believe. And back then, that was not just like a breeze for pro players.
Money, right?
Like, I think in Origin, I got something about 6k euros a month, I think. Something like that, 6, 7k. So 50k it was 50k split, so 10k each, right? But still, it was more than a month of salary. Yeah. It was good money. But nowadays, I think it's still 50k for LCS and LEC.
I mean, but that's by design. Like, Riot wanted the players to actually have stable incomes. Like, this was very much intentional.
I mean, it's a good thing. It's just funny, but back then it actually mattered. You're like, oh, nice, that's a lot of money, 10k in my pocket, fuck yeah, right? And then nowadays it's like, yeah, this guy gets paid $1.5 million over there. I don't. Just want to say, like, if any orgs want to pay me $1 million, I'm here, right? I'm here for you. But
yeah. So before we go, any final thoughts about any of the LCS teams you want to get out there?
No, I think I've said what I had to say. I think the top 4 is gonna be interesting. Who goes to Worlds? If it's gonna be us, Liquid, or one of the Thieves missing out on Worlds, or maybe 2 of us. But I think it's gonna be 3 of the top 4 guys. Right now, I think EG looks kind of locked almost already. It's a bit too early to say. I've been in teams where we were starting summers with 9-0 and then we lost, so you never know, right? But
don't know how the meta is going to shake out either.
You never know what happens. Like, one bad patch and it's over for you. So yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting to go to Worlds, or to fight to go to Worlds. See who goes to Worlds. Phrasing is hard, but I think that I'm really enjoying playing support. It's like refreshing. It's a fresh breath of air for me as a player to enjoy something new, and I'm learning a lot more about both myself and the role and the game in general. So I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm looking forward to playing more.
Well, you certainly had a strong start. I mean, I think I expected you to have practiced a lot, but given your circumstances, I think for you having as good a performance as you had is very impressive already. So I'm looking forward to where it goes for the rest of the split. Thanks for coming on. We'll be back in a couple minutes, guys, with viewer questions for you without Zven. So we'll see you then.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.